Part 28. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 271. I'm old and can't afford to bother anymore, Mr. Wen said to his old wife. He finally chose Wen Ruoking. Only in this way could the matter be considered a thing of the past. So, instead of smearing mud and dealing with things blindly, he sent the old wife directly to the nunnery. In the end, Xiao Lu chose to stay with the old lady and would rather go to the family temple to practice medicine than return to the Wang family. Old Mrs. Wen's emotions were ups and downs, ranging from sadness to anger. She suffered a stroke, which was not serious, her eyes were crooked and her mouth was crooked, and she drank water obscenely. Fortunately, his daughter is with him attentively, so he won't end up too miserable. As for the Wang family, although they didn't get their wife back, the Good Samaritan didn't give her much money, so they all stopped. The chief housekeeper of the Wen family, under the assignment of his master, took the bill to ask Wen Xiangui to give birth, and let her cry until she died. If she didn't give it, she threatened to go to her husband's family to ask for it. Her dim sum shop was just taken back by the Wen family. Just the Wen family, for some reason, gave her a lot of money. But what she wants is a shop. I wanted to find Mr. Wen to intercede, and even wanted to buy it with money, but the Wen family ignored me. Furthermore, the Yuan family disliked her because of her ugliness. If it weren't for the fact that Yuan's eldest son was really ugly, it would be difficult to marry him again. She gave birth to a son again and was really kicked out. Without the support of Mrs. Wen, her mother-in-law would set rules for her. From now on, she would just give birth at home and not go anywhere. The Wen family immediately began to clean up the yard and prepare to welcome the eldest lady, Wen Shizu. This is the name Wen Ruoking changed when she returned home. Wen Shizu went to see Mr. Wen. His beautiful granddaughter cried softly, "Grandpa." The old man wiped away all his worries and gave him a big gift. On weekdays, I invite a few friends to come to the store to eat and drink, and enjoy the care of my granddaughter. Wen Ruoking greatly appreciated Wen Yu's quick, precise, and effective actions. Everything is wonderful. Except for Hu Fei, that guy was very annoying. He surrounded him like flies and was almost impossible to guard against. As calm and open-minded as he is also starting to get anxious. Hu Fei, however, was even more anxious. He could only see Zuzu in the store while Wen Ruoking went to court in the morning. As a result, the words Zuzu talks about now are, "Dad, this, Father, that." Makes him suffer both bitterly and sweetly. He wanted to find Mr. Wen to express his feelings, but he ignored him at all. When Chi-ho returned home, he told Mr. Tan this strange incident in a serious manner, and sighed, "I didn't expect that the good sister of Xiao Wu's daughter-in-law turned out to be Lord Wen's own daughter. To be honest, Xiao Wu, this daughter-in-law, is really well married. I should be more tolerant to her in the future." Mrs. Tan didn't respond and didn't express her attitude. Instead, she smiled and said, "If the Marquis can say this, then this family member is really doing something wrong. At least, we can make some plans when it comes to military pay at the end of the year." He nodded. "I heard that the clothes made in her shop are good. You can go there in a day or ask someone from the shop to come and make clothes for the women at home. The money will be paid first." Mrs. Tan seemed to be filled with hatred, but she had a sweet smile on her face. "Master Ho is rich, so we have to pick the most expensive one." "Okay," the Marquis agreed, and after a while he asked, "How much silver can the most expensive one have? I heard that there are thousands of pairs available." Mr. Ho was surprised. "Is what he is wearing gold? Even if it is gold, is it so heavy that it can crush a person to death? Come on. It's okay to deceive those who love vanity. Don't even think about fooling me. It's not so expensive." "Yes, I've made my choice," and asked her to give me a quote. After the Marquis left, Mrs. Tan's face was gloomy. She guessed that the Marquis must have something to say when he told her this. It was probably that Wen Yu who was stirring up trouble in front of him. She is really good. In all these years, I have never suffered any of these losses. Smelly bitch, little whore. It's just a matter of bringing her to the military camp and letting thousands of people ride on the hips of thousands of people. She twirled the agar wood string in her hand, and in her mind, she cursed like a shrew in the market, and imagined the scenario of abusing her 100 times. This wave of family recognition has pushed the store's business to a new climax. Wen Yu took advantage of the situation and ran to the store frequently. Wen Shizu, Wen Yu would shout loudly as soon as he saw Zuzu. So the two of them laughed together. Webster, who was raising her baby at home, finally waited for Yang Xiangdong. He returned to the capital, handed over the papers, and explained one or two more things. He didn't even return home. He took a cart full of things and went straight to Weishi's place. Xiang Yu, you miss me so much, a small farewell is better than a newlywed. Yang Xiangdong thought about it for 3 months, and when he looked at Wei Zionjiao, she seemed to be more plump than before. He was so excited that he went up and hugged her hard. Wei Zionjiao buried her head in his chest, listening to his thumping heartbeat, and felt very excited. When he started to move, he smiled bitterly and took his hand. Sit down, I have something to tell you. Yang Xiangdong said shamelessly, we'll talk about it later, just for a while. The breath sprayed on Wei Zionjiao's neck, making her distracted. No, 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 wait a moment, just a few words. Yang Xiangdong held her for a while, then let go. Okay, speak quickly, hurry up. There are 2 people hiding somewhere, one of them is very disappointed, just about to see the good show, the other one is relieved. If you have something to say, what are you fussing about? These 2 people are the guards sent by Song Shang and Mu Bo. The 2 of them met here and got to know each other. Wexler took Yang Xiangdong's hand and gently caressed his belly. Smiled, I have it. What? Yang Xiangdong was stunned for a moment. Then, he was surprised and delighted, is this true? This is great. Zionjiao, this is great. Listen to me first. Wei Zionjiao was satisfied with his reaction, but if he wanted him to do anything, he had to plan. I didn't know until a month after you left. I wanted to abort him. Seeing that Yang Xiangdong was about to speak in a hurry again, she held back, but in the end, I couldn't bear it. Later I figured it out, I want to give birth to this child. Now, I want to tell you solemnly, being with you is my own choice. Now that I have chosen, I have no regrets, and I can bear the consequences. Xiang Yu, what are you talking about? Yang Xiangdong said excitedly. Listen to me first. Wei Zionjiao shed tears, I know how important the Li family is to you, and you still can't live without it. So it's not a good time to have this child. I didn't expect it, but he came, that's it. I know. There is always a way to solve it, you don't have to worry. After Yang Xiangdong became excited, he calmed down and began to think about this problem. Xiang Yu, really? I'm not coaxing you, Yang Xiangdong stopped. What should he do? It's too late anyway. Xiangdong, I have already thought about giving birth to him in this courtyard, and then I will arrange for people to find a place and place him properly. In the future, if we can be together, we will walk around the charity hall. Adopt him. You wait for me to think about it first. Wei Xiangxiang made tea and water for him next to him, and then went to the kitchen to order some side dishes. After being busy for a while, Yang Xiangdong said, Xiang Yu, come here. I have thought of a way, please listen. In Taishi Zhao's mansion, the 80-year-old Mrs. Zhao is celebrating her birthday. The old teacher passed away long ago, and Mrs. Zhao was sometimes sober and confused. But don't look at it like this, the emperor will also call her master's wife when he sees her. Although he is no longer as prominent as when the Grand Master was alive, his brilliance has not diminished. Yang Xiangdong's wife, holding her sister Mrs. Li in the corner, coquettishly said, "Let uncle find another reason for my husband, he is too busy. He has been out for several months and has been away from home all day when he comes back. Sometimes he even sleeps in front, nothing, and me, I still want to have another baby." Mrs. Li said disgustedly, "When you gave birth to brother Sun last time, it was difficult to give birth. It almost scared me to death. You already have a son and a daughter, so why give birth? Don't give birth. Sister, I like Xiao Mao too. But don't you think about it, what will happen to the siblings if something unexpected happens? Listen to my sister, if Yang Xiangdong feels that he has few children, we will not stop him from taking concubines. I don't like my husband taking concubines. Put it aside whether he likes it or not. If he really has this idea, if you stop him, he won't be able to become enemies after a long time. Why bother? I don't even care about your brother-in-law. After asking a few times, he doesn't want it? Yeah, raising 2 children is better than anything else." Oh. Even though Mrs. Li said this, she didn't think Yang Xiangdong would take a concubine. She knew this girl too well, she was innocent and kind, but she had no abilities. Brother-in-law was chosen by her for her sister. Smart and capable, but without family background or money. Being able to make it this far depends on the support of the Li family. If he is someone who knows how to advance and retreat and has a conscience, he will have to pamper my sister for the rest of his life without using any crooked ideas. Okay, I saw a few people and wanted to talk. You can find friends to play with. I'll call you when you leave. Hey, my sister left happily. Mrs. Li shook her head, this girl will be like this for the rest of her life. It's not bad to have children and daughters, and to be protected by yourself. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 272. It is a big happy event for the Zhao family, and all the women of the Qi family have arrived. There were so many people at the scene that Mrs. Zhao couldn't recognize anyone. But as long as I have a conversation with her, she can still recall a few things. The Tan family has a very good relationship with her, and they spent a lot of effort to deal with this old woman. Looking at the old lady in red, green, and with red flowers on her head, she looks like an old monster. Where is this going? Old lady, as soon as I entered the door, I saw a little girl sitting on the main seat. I was also wondering why the great-granddaughter of the Zhao family was so unruly and sat on the main seat. Then I took a closer look and saw that it was you. Tan's the funniest. Sure enough, everyone laughed. Don't tell me, the old lady blinked her eyes and really recognized Mr. Tan. 2 of her front teeth were missing, and she covered her mouth with a handkerchief when she spoke. You are laughing. You don't know, Taishi's family has a tradition, the 80th birthday should be the same as the child's first birthday. Look at what they did to me. They look like old monsters. How can there be such a beautiful monster? You are like a goddess. If I were the same age as you, I probably wouldn't be able to walk. I'm okay, but they have to support me. Who are these? The old man looked at the large array of colorful flowers with dazzled eyes. Old lady, this is my big family. Mrs. Tan introduced herself. Today Mrs. Chi, Mrs. Lu, and 5 grandsons-in-law, together with kittens and little Bao all arrived. Mrs. Su is here too. She must attend such an occasion. Good. The population is booming, good. Among the crowd, the old lady saw Wen Yu at a glance. This is Xiao Wu's wife. When Mrs. Tan sighed secretly, this is really outstanding, even with such old eyes, she can see her. Wen Yu stepped forward and said in a slightly louder voice, Happy old lady. Mrs. Zhao looked up and down. Well, good. What a neat woman. Mrs. Tan said, you have really good taste. Among the 5 granddaughter-in-laws, you can see the most beautiful one at a glance. These words aroused the jealousy of many grandsons-in-law. Even Zhang Mocking smiled and glared at Wen Yu. Mrs. Zhao said, when I was young, I didn't care about these things. As I get older, I really like good-looking things, and I also like lively things. That's perfect. This Wen family is not only good-looking, but also very capable. You know the 2 very popular shops in the capital right now? One is for clothing and the other is for food. She is the one who runs it. She is busy all day long. Working in the shop and traveling around the house is very hard. However, it is quite effective. Many of the guests here today are wearing her clothes. Even though Mrs. Zhao said that just now, she was an extremely strict person when she was young. Pay attention to the 3 obediences and the 4 virtues, and follow the rules without making mistakes. Now that people are getting older, of course they have to be more broad-minded, but the fundamental things remain the same. After hearing this, her smile faded a lot, and she said to Wen Yu, as a woman, you should respect your elders, and caring for your husband and raising your children is the first priority. If there are men in charge of the family's property, just let them do it. Once you get married, hurry up and give birth to a son. It's not appropriate for a woman to be in the public eye. Mrs. Tan seemed to be embarrassed that she had missed something, and said, what the old lady said is, but she has only been married for a few months. Then hurry up. It's not good for those common people to get too much. Do you hear that? The old lady asked Wen Yu. Wen Yu responded with a smile, yes, I will follow the old lady's teachings. Ms. Tan was a little puzzled. Isn't this unruly guy so arrogant that everyone dares to challenge him at home? Why are you so timid now? After all, she is an old lady, and her words have weight. Mrs. Tan gave a thumbs up. I talk about her a lot at home on weekdays. It doesn't work. If I say anything in the future, they won't listen. It's up to you to decide. She was worried that just pointing at Wen was a bit excessive, so she used them. Wen Yu sighed secretly, this Tan family is really powerful. He always speaks according to the flow, but always has something to say. As expected, Mrs. Zhao's smile disappeared. I hope you are joking, otherwise, in a family like ours, we don't have such rules. Oh, look at me. Old lady, I'm just joking with you. Don't take it seriously, they are young, and even if there is something wrong, we as elders can tolerate it. Today is just to make you happy. If you lose face, I will become a sinner. What's the matter with you? Wife Chi Wu, no matter what the elders say, right or wrong, you have to listen to it first. If you have any objections, you have to finish listening, do it well, and then explain it slowly. Don't follow the advice of the elders. Stupid. MRSG was angry and wanted to speak. Wen Yu secretly pulled back and said with a smile, yes. What you said, old lady, is right. But, old lady, if it hadn't been for grandma pouring bitter water in front of you and letting the younger generation understand the truth, we would really. I thought, my grandmother was always smiling and caring all day long, and she was quite satisfied with everything. But I didn't know that the prejudice was already so deep, thanks to you, old lady, otherwise, we would have been lost and trapped. So suspenseful. Your teaching is right. No matter what, it is the fault of the juniors. Grandma, the grandsons-in-law apologized to you. She saluted. The Su family, the Wang family, the Zhu family, and the Zhang family, I thought, Grandma is dissatisfied with you, okay. Don't get involved with us. But what can be done now? So, everyone followed suit and apologized. Mr. Tan was very dissatisfied with this result. When did I have any prejudice against you? Why did this get everyone involved? MRSG also smiled and said, if mother has any objections to our sister-in-law, we will also apologize to you in front of the old lady. Lou smiled, oh, today is a good day for the old lady, how can it be a complaint meeting, old lady, everyone is joking, she came to the rescue of her mother-in-law. MRS10 also hurriedly said, yes, where is this? Isn't it just a joke? I am very satisfied with these daughters-in-law and grandsons-in-law. I have no objections. Look, I have rectified your names. After that, she burst out laughing. MRS Zhao's brain was not big enough. After listening to Wen Yu's words, she was already satisfied. Seeing everyone laughing, I started laughing too. The atmosphere is harmonious and the whole house is full of joy. MRS Li chatted with several ladies, came to an end, and sat down to drink tea. A girl came over and said, MRS Li, there are some ladies at the Peony Pavilion. Please come over when I see you. MRS Li didn't think much and walked away. While passing a small corner, there was a sudden sound and a letter fell in front of me. She was smart and calm, so she didn't rush to pick it up, but stopped and looked around. Not far away, several waves of people were talking. Leaves have fallen on the rockery, creating an autumn scene. The path is winding and no one can be seen leaving. There doesn't seem to be any problem. Pick it up, she has seen a lot, can she still know that it is for her? The girl behind her went over and picked it up. She took it and looked at it. It read on it, MRS Li personally signed it. Handwriting is beautiful. Calmly, he pulled out the paper, with only a few words on it. She saw her pupils shrink, and then closed them up quietly. Turning around and walking back, the little girl asked, Madam, aren't you going to the Peony Pavilion? Silly girl, why are you going to the Peony Pavilion? They lured me here to get the letter. Madam, do you know who sent the letter? There are so many people coming. If I knew, I would be a who could figure it out, but... Looking around in the crowd, I saw the head wife of the Zhao family. The two of them had a pretty good personal relationship. She walked over and said, Hey, I have something to do with you. What's the matter with you? Give me a list of today's female guests. Okay, what do you want this for? Oh, just leave it alone. The letter was given with gentle words. She brought Laba here just to handle this matter. Just after socializing in front of MRS Zhao, I met the two of them with my mother-in-law, and then I hid to deliver the letter. At this moment, standing aside, I saw MRS Li put the letter away with a change in expression. Well, even if I've finished this matter, let's see how MRS Li handles it next. I felt relaxed, thinking about Li Huazhang, whom I had just met, and felt that I was very close to him, so I simply went to talk to her. As soon as he turned around, a woman stood in front of her with a graceful voice. Excuse me, are you a gentle girl? Her voice was soft and waxy, with a hint of hometown flavor. As soon as I turned around, a woman stood in front of me. In front of you, is that a gentle girl? Her voice was soft and waxy, with a hint of hometown flavor. Guess she is accurate. Thank you guys for your tips, comments, and votes. The progress of collection has been very slow recently, and I am a bit anxious. I'm not too embarrassed to ask the editor for advice. Today's high school class reunion, everyone is getting older. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 273. The woman in front of me has a face like a delicate flower looking into the mirror, and a body like a weak willow supporting the wind. She was wearing a white skirt with large pink peonies embroidered on it. On the head is a hibiscus stone flower head. Some light powder was swept around the eyes, which made the eyes sparkle, making people feel pity when they saw her. Looks familiar. When you remembered it and actually recognized it? It was the Peach Blossom Fairy, Qin Lianyu. They only met twice, and both left a very bad impression on her, so she replied calmly, "My maiden name is Wen. May I ask who my wife is?" Qin Lianyu is also looking at Wen Yu carefully, not to mention her appearance and clothing. This expression is neither delicate nor charming. Qin Lianyu was critical. I don't know how, with a kind of elegance and confidence, I can catch other people's attention without deliberately posing. Unable to help feeling jealous, he rolled up his sleeves with his left and right hands and replied proudly, "The second wife of the Zhang family of the Duke of Jingguo, Qin Lianyu." "Disrespect," Wen Yu said, but his expression showed no respect at all. Qin Lianyu took a deep breath and put on a cute smile, "I come from the Qin family in Chuqingguan. Speaking of it, we are half fellow villagers. However, when we were in the boudoir, we often socialized with each other. I've never heard of you in my circle of friends." When you didn't say anything, but he had an intuition, this woman didn't just want to get acquainted and reminisce about old times when she found him. She was trying to express something through her posturing. What could it be? Of course it was Qin Lianyu, who lived a messy life and had nowhere to vent, so she came to trouble Wen Yu. Ever since her husband had a concubine, she started making troubles in all aspects. At first, her husband coaxed her in every possible way and would not go to the two concubines' rooms unless necessary. But she was still not satisfied and kept struggling. Not only did she torment her husband, but she also used the same methods her mother used to deal with her concubines to torment her concubines. Mrs. Zhang and Mrs. Zhang are not in charge. The main wife is in charge of the concubines, and no one can get involved. She finally got tired of tormenting her husband. When she got angry again, Zhang Er stopped coaxing her and even hid away. Then, Aunt Chu became pregnant. If Qin Lianyu wanted to do anything, Mrs. Zhang would not tolerate it and took her away for protection. Qin Lianyu felt heartbroken. She had abandoned Qi Wu to plan a good marriage. Why did it end up like this? The worse things go, the more I want to Qi Wu and try to find out more about him. I also took advantage of the opportunity to go out and go to the store to find Wen Yu. I never met her. When I asked about her, the clerk said that after she got married, she spent less time in the store. However, Mr. Qi Wu will accompany his wife here in person when he is free, the clerk said with a smile. This sentence dealt an unimaginable blow to Qin Lianyu. 2 days ago, her father-in-law went to attend Master Wen's adoption ceremony. After returning, he laughed at home and talked about the story of a fake phoenix turning into a real phoenix. He also said how beautiful Mr. Wen's daughter was. Standing next to her were the fifth son and his wife of the Zhenyuan Ho family. How outstanding a pair of beautiful people. He also said, it turns out that Mr. Wen's daughter and the wife of Mr. Qi Wu are good sisters. What a coincidence. He also told Mr. Wen and the old lady again. Everyone in the Zhang family felt regretful after hearing this. Why didn't they go and see the excitement? Only Qin Lingyu could not suppress her sadness. Today, she dressed up carefully and socialized with her mother-in-law and sister-in-law. In the crowd, I saw Aunt Kui and Wen Yu. Her aunt was holding her hand, patting her on the shoulder, and introducing her to her friends. And Wen Yu, that bitch, was leaning against her aunt. The two of them were smiling, extremely close. That should have been my position. And her aunt's eyes finally glanced at her, but she didn't stop. She was worse than a stranger to her. As a result, she hated Wen Yu even more. Maybe some people have this kind of thinking. Finally, at the moment when Wen Yu was alone, she suddenly had the idea, if I am not doing well, you should not be doing well either. Miss Wen. Wait, Wen Yu interrupted her rudely, Mrs. Zhang Er, right? My maiden name is Wen, but now I am married, and I am Mrs. Wu. Chi Wu finally got her a royal title, it's much more convenient when going out to socialize. Stop calling me by my maiden name, it sounds strange, intuition made her say this. Qin Lianyu's smile became sweeter, okay, Mrs. Wu. Do you know, my mother is related to Mrs. My cousin, was studying at our Qin family academy. Cousin. Wait a minute, a scene flashed through Wen Yu's mind. Qin Lianyu, dressed in pink, was having a private meeting with a man in a blue cloak, the man's voice was deep and hoarse, that straight back. Sky? No way. Yes, Lian calls him cousin. Cousin studied at the Qin family academy. Entrusted by Aunt Kui, his food, clothing, housing, and transportation are all taken care of by my mother. The Qin family has a liberal family style, and so do we girls. We attend class together. I have helped my cousin sort out his books since he was a child. So, that's it, Wen Yu murmured. That silly guy, is my husband. Qin Lianyu recalled the past and sighed, my cousin is very smart and very hard-working. When I came first in the exam, he also did not fall behind in martial arts. I have always felt that if he took the exam, he would be a Tanhualang. When you listened silently, his thoughts confused. Qin Lianyu showed a confused look on her face and whispered, actually, he is also very good to people. He is still alone at a young age, but he still knows how to take care of me. A kite made of paste in spring, a fan made in summer, and caught in autumn Luiying, give me frozen sugar ice in winter. After listening to Wen Yu, he felt the urge to tear her face into pieces. Alas, Aunt Kui is in a difficult situation. My cousin worked day and night for her, and he has achieved what he has today. Huh, Wen Yu said with a cold smile on his lips, everything you said is right, but you haven't said the most important thing yet. Qin Lianyu looked at Wen Yu silently. Your cousin, is very handsome. He can be said to be the most handsome young man in the whole capital, right? Wen Yu was very proud. Qin Lianyu pursed her thin lips. After you finish speaking, I will add that, indeed, Qi Yang is a perfect handsome man. But, he is so good, why didn't you marry him? Wen Yu asked curiously. Qin Lianyu's eyes were red when she was asked. Wen Yu kindly analyzed, look, you and him have been together since childhood, and there are books, food and clothing, the 4 seasons and so on, it can be said that they are young friendship, childhood sweethearts, right? Your mother is an eye-catcher. Are you blind? There is such an outstanding man in front of you, why didn't you take your fancy and become your husband? Qin Lianyu stared at Wen Yu fiercely. Wen Yu patted her head, hey, look at me. Is this your mother's fault? It should be my mother-in-law's unintentional and husband's ruthlessness. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened earlier. Hey, do you know? My mother-in-law, this is the first time I've met her. I took a fancy to it and invited our family to visit Zanquan Villa. At that time, my grandmother was still wondering why she would invite us because we were not familiar with each other. I found out afterward that it was my mother-in-law who took a fancy to me. She invited our family over and let my husband take a peek. As a result, alas, he also took a liking to me. When you was quite troubled. Originally, my grandmother said that Chi Daifi I was not willing to do it later. Wulang came to me personally and said that he fell in love with me at first sight. I was so ashamed that I could be so frivolous. How could any man be so frivolous? But when I looked at him seriously, hey, I really saw it. When you has a kind heart, accumulated virtues in his previous life, and cultivates blessings in this life. I have such a good husband at my fingertips. When you looked proud and proud. Speaking of which, I have to thank your mother and you. The moral character of the Qin family is really not something to brag about. The boys and girls have been together for many years, and they have never done anything shameless or shameless. Otherwise, he would just study how can a young man run away. When you, Qin Lianyu was furious. Please call me MRSG Wu. When I leave soon, my husband is coming to pick me up and my mother-in-law, why don't we meet at the second gate? I want to ask my husband, if he doesn't study hard, he makes fans and pastes kites. With my mother-in-law file a complaint and punish him severely. Qin Lianyu was so angry, you are so vulgar, she walked away angrily. When you looked at her back, that day, I was eating candied sour plums and listening to gossip, but it turned out that I was laughing at myself. Standing in a daze for a long time, until MRSG came to look for her. Ayu, come quickly. The crown princess is here, and so is the concubine. Hey, your face is pale, are you not feeling well? Looking at her mother-in-law who cared about her, when you felt warm in her heart, it's okay, it's okay. Just now, a girl pointed at MRS Zhang Er and asked if the skirt was made in our shop. MRSG had already seen Qin Lianyu in such bright clothes, and said angrily, it's ostentatious and tacky, how can it be our product? Ignore them, she said when you and left. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 274. The Crown Princess is talking to MRS Zhao. Shui Ying stood behind the Crown Princess, and the two concubines of the grandson stood behind her. After a while of excitement, the concubine was finally able to talk to Wen Yu. Why are you turning pale? Zhang Pingting also asked. Wen Yu sighed, don't mention it, the toad jumps on the instep, it makes me sick, so, she explained the cause and effect without stopping. The concubine listened, her mouth wide open, and kept saying, is there such a thing? Is this true? After Wen Yu finished speaking, she felt better. Just now, she almost exploded with anger. After hearing this, the concubine's eyes gleamed and she said, which one, please point it out to me. After searching among the crowd, it was easy to find Qin Lianyu. Wen Yu pointed boldly, here, that one. The one with white background and powdered peony. The concubine stared at Qin Lianyu with interest, looked up and down twice, and then shook her head with a look of disgust. What? Don't worry, she's far worse than you. It's so pretentious, with this Ziza-like look. Who are you doing this for? Hey, is she crazy? Why are you telling me this? Qin Lianyu saw at a glance that Wen Yu was giving instructions to the grandson and concubine, and was still discussing, with a double-faced contempt. I was immediately ashamed and scared, this bitch, could she tell others such a thing? Wen Yu analyzed, who knows about her? It looks like here. She pointed to her head, she is a little sick. But, what I heard was true, she broke the contract and found a new job. TCH, in the whole capital, who can compare to your fifth son? Your great-grandson is extremely rare. I mentioned it in a subtle way, but after not seeing you for 2 days, I just thought, my great-grandson, I still think you are not worthy of him. Humph. I see, yeah, I probably regret it. It's so stupid. Then she wants to make me sick just because she sees me doing well. She has no brains. You should drag her and beat her. Humph, if this matter is exposed, will she still live? Besides, we don't do such disgusting things, don't we? Let's go and find Zhang madam, go and disgust her, he pulled the concubine and said softly. No, 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 I just tested my mother-in-law, and as soon as I mentioned it, she was very disgusted. I just feel disgusted myself, don't add anything to her. That's right. You are so filial. Zhang Pingting joked and said warmly, then when you go back, you can't spare that who attracts bees and butterflies. Of course you can't forgive me lightly. Wen Yu's eyes were cold. Chi Wu failed to come to pick them up. When Yu returned home without taking off her clothes. First she found Chi-woo's private account and flipped through the pages. The things recorded on it made her feel ashamed and hateful. Take off your clothes and hang them up yourself. I took apart the jewelry and arranged them neatly on the dressing table. Then he went to the next room, washed himself, and didn't apply any balm. He sat there in a daze. How can I be so unlucky? This was her only thought at the moment. The past events are coming in droves, bit by bit, from blur to clarity. No wonder, a few times, I looked at his back and felt familiar. Although I was happy gossiping with my general concubine, I couldn't relieve the pain after immersing myself in it. Originally, the marriage she planned was just a way to escape from the control of the Wen family, and it was also intended to be a basis for her revenge. But before and after they got engaged to him, the two got to know each other while doing things together. When they arrived in the capital, friendship was slowly born. Marry in and have physical intimacy with him. He is no longer so dull, and has become gentle and considerate. She is even more demanding in bed. And I was really moved. Actually, she wiped her tears and thought about various possibilities for the two of them to get along. She even thought about him taking concubines and having with each other. Unexpectedly, I already have a sweetheart. As a wife, I only got his empty account book after entering the house for so long. Not even a tael of silver or a piece of jewelry was obtained from him. As for his property, Wen Yu pointed at the above items and gave them to others along with his sincerity. Who am I? For a moment, I felt like crying without tears. My beloved husband has someone else in mind. The more I think about it, the more I feel wronged and the more angry I become. Hold the chair and sit facing the door. When he comes back, we will settle the accounts. Then, I will move to my own yard first, and then, let's make peace. Anyway, basically everything I have to do has been done. The only one who feels distressed and reluctant to leave is my mother-in-law. Thinking of everything she had done to him, I shed tears again. Do you really regard me as your biological daughter? Looking at how happy she is now, can you bear to hit her again? But Chi-woo went home. You're back, when you greeted him with a smile. Well, I have something to do today, so I didn't pick you up. It doesn't matter, you are doing business, not meeting your mistress. Chi-woo was a little surprised by her flirtatious language. He flicked her forehead lightly and went to the small room to wash up. Come out, hand over the veil, and let Wen Yu wipe his head as expected. Wen Yu resisted the urge to scratch his handsome face and took it over with a charming smile. Chi-woo thought for a moment, well, it seems that there will be good things tonight. He sat down beautifully. Is it interesting today? It's interesting. Mrs. Zhao is sometimes clear and confused. Our grandmother and she have a good conversation. Later, the crown princess also arrived. The fifth generation of the Zhao family lives together, and the little grandson is only a few months old. He stares at the women with hair. The bright jewelry laughed loudly, I guess you will also be a pretty young man in the future. Chi-woo turned around and gave her a funny look. The gentle smile is wanton. They said that the ninth sister of the Zhao family is a beauty. I took a look and found that she is not bad. But she is still far behind me. Husband, do you think I am beautiful? When you asked her head. Beautiful. When you felt a twinge of pain in her heart again. Would he also praise that like this? Actually, is this called boasting? When you made a mistake. The people who went there today are also very interesting. Ms. Lee speaks loudly and doesn't care about the people next to her. Miss Lu has bad eyesight and always squints her eyes to look at people. Chi-woo listened, but he was still thinking about business matters in his heart. He walked away for a while, and then heard his wife say, I saw an interesting woman today. She is still half a fellow countryman. Her name is Qin Lian Yu. Chi-Wu's body suddenly tensed up and he swayed unnaturally. Wen Yu pulled his hair hard, causing him severe pain. But I dare not say anything. Ouch, does it hurt? I was talking and didn't pay attention. Why are you shaking so hard? It's okay, it's okay. Chi-Wu felt guilty. That woman's name is Qin Lianyu, she is the second wife of the Zhang family. She came up to talk to me. When you left. Talk to her? Chi-Wu's eyes widened and his heart was beating. She's so funny. When you walked around Chi-Wu, pinched his throat, and put on a pretentious look, don't you remember me? She actually imitated Qin Lianyu's charming style by 70% to 80%, and then exaggerated it several times. Oh my god, when you rolled his eyes speechlessly, my eyes are sad and my tone is sad, as if I am the heartless man. Chi-Wu swallowed secretly. You. When you then pinched his neck, shook his head and said, we met in Kalyuan Pavilion. Chi-Wu was excited, his eyebrows furrowed slightly, and his heart began to feel cold. I don't remember her. She looks like this, which makes my skin crawl. Her sad look makes her look like Qin Xianglian on the stage. Ah. Really, her surname is Qin. Is she the ancestor of her family? He laughed. When you laughed so hard. Express the malice in your heart. I'm afraid of dealing with such a woman. I ignored her and turned around to go to the bathroom. Unexpectedly, there were two people talking about her inside. Oh, what, have you had dinner at Zhao's house? Chi-Wu stupidly changed the subject. Why don't you ask what people say about her? When you suddenly came closer to Chi-Wu and breathed into his ear. Chi-Wu subconsciously ducked back. What are you doing? You scared me again. When you tugged on his hair again. No, I'm not doing anything. I don't really like to hear women's gossip. Chi-Wu stammered. When you patted him disapprovingly, can what I tell you still be gossip? Listen, that person said that Qin Lianyu has a childhood sweetheart. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 275. The gentle words stroked her husband's hair. With a slight smile on her lips, she said in a soft voice, she said that Qin Lianyu had a private life agreement with someone. Later, the second young master Zhang went to the south and went to the Qin family academy. Chi-Wu clenched his hands tightly, feeling panicked and confused. How could this matter be spread? I heard that Mr. Zhang is a handsome young man, suave and knowledgeable. He is a first-class polo player. He can also play the flute and play games. He has many friends, spends money like water, and is gentle and affectionate. He is especially popular with women. Yesterday, she actually asked Zhang Pingting about the second son of the Duke's mansion. Oh, I didn't have a chance to meet him, and I don't know if the rumors are true. When you messed with his hair, talking like a nymphomaniac with stars in his eyes. What does your excited tone mean? Chi-Wu felt as uncomfortable as eating rotten rice overnight. His mouth moved again but he made no sound. Moreover, she was born in the Duke's palace. It is said that second young master Zhang is much better than her lover. Although Qin Lianyu has moved on, I have to say that she is a far-sighted person. She knows how to choose people. When you nodded in approval. Brother lover, how ugly is that? This is none of our business, don't talk about it. Chi-Wu became unhappy and his face darkened. When you ignored him, I didn't say it, it was someone else who said it, okay. Chi-Wu broke free from Wen Yu's hand, turned around, and said calmly, women's families are really boring. How could they know about this kind of thing? It was just made up at first glance. As the saying goes, don't listen to what is inappropriate, but in the future, you will, pay attention to these. His face is not good, and his tone of voice is not good either. He has been taught a lesson. However, in the last sentence, when you felt guilty and his tone was also weak. When you secretly resented it, why don't you do anything inappropriate? Hey, this kind of thing. It's just that the paper can't contain the fire. Sooner or later, the stuffing will leak out. And it will spread very fast, and then, it will be exciting to watch, when you stab the knife fiercely. What a bustle, don't talk nonsense, Chiwi. I thought about that scene and felt that he was destined to die. He, they also said that the lover's brother is a fool. When you thought to herself, this is really true, no wonder my mother-in-law said it. This Chi family is really such a scumbag. They said that fool gave her a lot of valuables and money. Impossible, Chi Wu murmured, his face changed several times, but under the candlelight, he couldn't see clearly. But I broke into a sweat. Hey, when you came over from the side again. Chi Wu Ben moved back and leaned on the back of his chair, unable to hide. You said, Qin Lianyu and brother Qing Ling, have they been having an affair for a long time? No, Chi Wu shouted out. Feeling that he was too excited, he quickly covered it up. Don't talk nonsense, this is a matter of ruining a person's reputation. I ruined it. When you pointed at his nose, his eyes widened. How could I ruin it? Did those two shameless men and women do it themselves? When you, Chi Wu shouted when he heard it. What are you doing? You scared me. What's your name? Wen's words were not soft at all. I don't like you, talking about other people like this. Chi Wu felt like he was going to collapse. Heh, you don't like me as a person, right? When you also became angry, I'm speaking according to common sense. If the two of them didn't have that kind of thing, how could that stupid man give her money, and how could she have the nerve to take it? Poor young Master Zhang is among the best among men. But he didn't know that he had already become a cuckold and became a living bastard. She vented her malice. Okay. Stop talking. It's boring. Go to sleep. Chi Wu decisively refused to talk anymore. What are you sleeping for? You haven't finished talking yet. Hey, where do you think they are? The gentle words were like syrup boiling over low heat, thick and unhurried. I don't know. But it's definitely not the case, Chi Wu said firmly. If you don't know, how do you know that it's okay? You're not that idiot. Why are you nervous? When you was curious and puzzled, and analyzed, I guess, I must have held my hand. It smells good too. Talk about it. As for whether you have untied her white pink peony belly band. Chi Wu looked at Wen Yu blankly. Why is she so shameless? Dare to say anything? Yeah, I almost forgot, she is so bold and shameless that she dares to plan her own marriage. Look at you, what are you talking about? Chi Wu was sweating profusely again. If she knew I was that bitch, no, 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 my lover. No, 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 you idiot. Then I will definitely be dead. When you looked at Chi Wu with disgust, what are you looking at me? If you hadn't done this, why would that stupid man give you money? Besides, even if I had an affair before, I only gave it to her because I loved her. But that broke the promise, didn't she? The money should be returned. But I heard that she didn't return it at all. Taking her lover's money to marry another man. What happened? Her surname is Qin, and she is Qin from Qin Daru, not Qin Huai Qin by the river. When you stood by the side, angry, with a vicious look on his face. To be honest, she has never been so mean. Even when facing Wen Huan, she never called him a bitch. Saying it now, it feels so refreshing. Chi Wulai stood up in a panic. Okay, okay, let's not talk anymore. I'm going to bed, I have something to do early tomorrow morning. No. We haven't talked about the real business yet. When you chuckled and pulled him. What, business? Chi Wu felt furious. According to you, that Qin bitch. When you said to Chi Wu. Chi Wu. He opened his hands and didn't know where to put them. My little hand has never been held, my little mouth has never been sweet, and I have never seen any color in my belly band. I just exchanged glances a few times, and I got so much money. Chiziao, you and I are matchmakers. The one who will be hired will definitely be a relative. Chi Wu thought of his private account again. It's broken. When you went on to say, the man carrying the sedan chair carried him through the door, and he followed you, not only did the three things above, but he also wore a white skirt to show you, and even did something embarrassing. She glanced at him extremely coquettishly. Chi Wu had goosebumps all over the floor and looked at her in horror. You have only one tail of silver and haven't even given me a hairpin. Originally, I am a newlywed daughter-in-law with a thin face, so it's hard to say anything, but now when you compare it like this, that's not possible. Where is your private money? Where are your valuables? Give them all to me. When you had a stern look on his face, which frightened Chi Wu so much that he wailed in his heart, how could there be such a woman in the world? He swallowed, and then stammered, my private money, went to make a living. I used more money. So, some of the items were also spent. Yes. So. Do you want to make a living? What kind of business? Tell me, can you make money? It's not done yet. Chi Wu began to lie, and he became more fluent. Not long after I put it in, I did it with a noble man. I'll go back and ask how it went. No. I'll take it back and give it to you. His heart felt cold, he didn't know how it happened. When you asked, does mother know? No, Chi Wu blurted out, mother doesn't know. Don't ask her. What you said just now is nonsense. Seeing when you glare at him, he changed his words, my lover, don't tell my mother. Let's just talk about it, don't tell anyone else. Don't worry, I will think about it in the next few days and I will give you some money for your family. I didn't expect it before, I didn't mean to give it. When you smiled, okay, I'll be waiting. Don't take too long. As you know, I've been doing a few things recently. I've spent a lot of money, and I can't make enough money, so I'm in a hurry. Originally, I was in a hurry. I still want to get it from you, otherwise, I'd better tell my mother and borrow some from her. No, don't tell your mother. The new daughter-in-law borrows money from her mother-in-law. What will happen? Only in the future, after you give birth to a son, will you have the confidence to say this, Chi Wu advised seriously. Oh, husband, you are so thoughtful. Chi Wu felt at ease, so he would deal with it like this first and think of a way to do it tomorrow. But Wen Yu's little face was red, and she was extremely beautiful. He whispered, husband, we're done talking, let's take a rest. Chi Wu felt strange again, but he said calmly, okay, go to sleep. I'm a little tired today, I have to get up early tomorrow morning. It's a day's work, so I have to sleep well, otherwise, I will lose energy. When you said, I'm not energetic, husband. Chi Wu's heart was beating wildly, ah. The words must be fragrant, and also. Me, how about tomorrow? I'm really a little tired and not in the mood. Are you not in the mood? When you said. Chi Wu's body froze. I have it. After saying that, when you grabbed Chi Wu's collar, exposed her chest, and she dove in. Chi Wu had never experienced this before. His hands were stretched out stiffly, and Wen Yu had already hugged him to the bed. I can't do it, I'm really tired. Wen Yu had already pushed him down. You just said that you have to have a son before you can ask your mother-in-law for money. Then let's have a son. Wen Yu was filled with anger and hatred, and she wanted to kill him. Pounced forward. Just asking you if you are surprised. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 276. How has Chi-Woo ever experienced this? But it worked so well, from the cervical vertebrae to the tail vertebrae, it was like a lightning strike, and I immediately entered the state. It's just that it's so exciting and exciting. The story has already entered the happy ending before it even begins. Chi-Woo looked at this tragic situation in shock. Wen Yu was even more angry, he couldn't even express his anger. Chi-Woo was stunned for a long time, and finally came to his senses, thinking, I'll just die. In a hurry to clean up. Wen Yu jumped out of bed, gathered up her clothes, walked to the door aggressively, and screamed out, Xiaoji! Xiaoji! After a while, Xiaoji replied, What are your orders, madam? Early tomorrow morning, take the money and go to the kitchen and prepare some extra money for your father. Chi-Woo. He was, almost raped by her, but he was still disliked by her. He was also ashamed and angry, so he got out of bed with a red face, went to the hut to clean up, then he sat on the small stool inside, feeling that everything was like a dream. By the time he returned to the house, the candles had been extinguished and Wen Yu had fallen asleep. He leaned over, his feet felt soft, and he touched, it seemed to be his quilt. Through the dim light, I saw the overbearing wife, lying in the middle of the bed with her arms stretched out. What can he do? If I go to the front yard now, I'm not sure how I will spread the news tomorrow. So, just like a little daughter-in-law who was bullied by a bully, she squeezed into the small half of the bed and hugged the quilt. Tears almost flowed out. This moment. He hates Jean Lianyu's watery nature, not only climbing to a higher branch, but also playing tricks on himself. Moreover, he actually dared to tell others these things. She's a crazy bitch. I was really stupid, I was deceived by her weak look. Hate myself again, why was she influenced by her in the first place and gave me so much money, but when she said she would give it back, I still didn't want it. To this day, I think of Wen Yu's daily expenses, sets of clothes, shoes that I will no longer wear after a few wears. Sets of jewelry. We also need to maintain shops and people, carriages, and orchid boats. I guess the money is flowing like water, but I haven't given it to me at all. I can't afford to support her, and I'm looked down upon by her. Thinking of the way she held the bow just now, the little brother became excited again. He also hated him, damn it, what did you just do? Oh my God, how did I marry such a wife? How are you living your life? Mrs. Yazai. Robber. Huh. Why am I so stupid? As for her small arms and legs, I could hold her down with just one hand, so how could she be forced to do that? Finally, I hate the woman sleeping next to me again. Why do you have to marry me? I even said I won't marry you, but you have to. Marry me and don't treat me well. For of the next life. Thinking again of what she yelled just now, what? Let me eat kidney flowers early in the morning. Doesn't that tell the entire Chi family that I can't do it? Forget it, don't think about it anymore. I'd rather die. The next day, before dawn, Chi-Woo ran away quietly. He refused to know what it was like to eat all kinds of kidney flowers for breakfast. With Wen Yu's anger still lingering, he got up to eat. Xiaoji secretly smiled, Xiao Xiang and Qing he didn't know what happened yesterday. Laba knew it, and stretched his neck to look at the table early in the morning. Chi-Woo walked out of the gate. It was too early and he had nowhere to go. Standing on the street, mulling over your financial situation. I still remember that he lent money to some of his buddies, so he went to ask for it. A guy named Gao hasn't woken up yet. The servant came in and said that Mr. Chi-Woo was here. The man was startled. He quickly put on his clothes and came out. Chi-Woo came up and said, I lent you 3,000 taels of silver that year, please pay me back. You, what's wrong with you? I have an urgent need, hurry up, I have to go to Yandong's place. Wait a minute, let me see how many there are. The man opened the cabinet and dug around. Finally, take out 3 silver ingots and several smaller gold ingots. There is also a 300 tael and 2 100 tael silver notes. That's all I have. Chi Wu didn't believe it, so he went to read it himself, and found that this was the result. He groaned angrily, "Why are you so poor? I didn't know you came to ask for a debt so early in the morning. If you can get it together, please get me some more quickly." "Chi Wu, are you committing a crime?" "What the heck, don't mess with me today." Chi Wu's face turned red and white. "Okay, I'll think of something later." "You should do something serious." "Why are you still so poor after several years?" Chi Wu was disgusted. "Humph, you are capable, you are rich, didn't you come to me for money before dawn?" The two of them stumbled over each other, and Chi Wu picked up the things and walked away. "Then I went to find someone who was not at home. Looking for another one, it will be less than 500 taels. The next one will be even worse. I'm used to being lavish, so I just break the money." He stood on the street depressed. Why were all his friends so shabby? There was really nothing he could do, so he had someone deliver a letter and quietly returned to his home. "I guessed that my mother was up, so I arranged for someone to ask if Wenyu was with my mother. Not here." He was relieved and entered his mother's room. MRSG had just finished dressing up. When she saw her son coming, she smiled and wanted to talk, but when she saw her son, who was usually as big as 258,000 yuan, he was a little haggard now. "Why is Xiao Wu here now? Didn't he go out?" "Why not? Have been out for half a day." Chi Wu sighed secretly. "We must fight quickly and decide quickly. Otherwise, there will be trouble when that woman comes soon." "Mother," he composed himself and his face became more serious. "My son is in a hurry and needs some money. Can you lend him money to deal with the emergency?" "Oh, how much? How many? Alas, I forgot to think about it. How much is appropriate?" Why are you hesitating?" MRSG didn't take it seriously. In the past, she might have just opened the box without asking. But now my son is married and has a wife. Chi Wu was thinking about how much he had just returned and how much he could collect. "Speak. Otherwise, 30,000. So many? What are you doing for?" MRSG looked at him warily. Chi Wu opened his mouth for a long time, but his mother didn't give him to him directly, but she still looked at him like this. He was angry. "Do I have to tell you what it's for? Is it more than 30,000 taels? 30,000 taels is not much, it's less than 10,000 to get you a wife. What are you talking about? Even if your son gets married, you won't give him any money. How can I support my family?" It was very popular for MRSG, "You use your mother's money to support you." "Mother," Chi Wu stomped his feet angrily. "Why does he always make mistakes?" MRSG smiled. "Why didn't you give it? How much money did your family have when you got married? The rest are all from your mother? Do you think your father paid for it?" "Ha, that bastard. Mom, why are you talking to your son about this? My son is in need of money, so hurry up and get it. Go find your wife." MRSG started to make things difficult. "You have already married a daughter-in-law, and you still ask for money from your mother? You are worthless. Besides, Wenyu hasn't come in yet. I am the mother-in-law. Yes, the big shop was given to her. Although I don't know how much she earned, it must be a lot. Why do you still ask me for it? Do you want to eat it for the rest of your life?" Chi Wu was on the verge of tears again. "Because of the money, your son was almost killed by her. His face turned red as he recalled his defeat without a fight last night. MRSG looked strange. Why are you blushing? Why are you still sweating? It's not hot today either. Chi-woo jumped up and said, I'm not your son now that I'm married, right? It's embarrassing for me to ask questions for money. Forget it. I don't want it anymore. He stood up and ran away. He ran out and came back. Mom. Don't tell Wen-yu about this. If you do, don't blame your son for falling out, he is so awesome. Ha, fall out, what do you want, is MRSG afraid? Look at him with a sneer. I will go join the army and never come back. You, MRSG pointed at him angrily, then softened, okay, mother, don't tell me, mother will give you money, hey, come back. Humph, I don't want it anymore. What should I do if I meet that woman if I stay any longer? He left angrily. Then I ask you again, is it surprising? The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 277. Chapter 277 You coward. Chi-woo came out of his house and went to the tea house in a hurry. Taejun came over after receiving the news and was waiting anxiously. When he saw him coming, he quickly asked, what happened? Your Highness. Chi-woo stood there, not knowing where to start. Grieved, frustrated, angry, embarrassed, angry, hateful. His face turned red and white. What's wrong? Tell me quickly. Taejun became even more anxious when he saw his expression. I have some personal matters, and I would like to ask your Highness for help. Tell me. Do you have any money? Borrow some, I need it urgently. Well, I'll pay it back after a while. Ha, His Highness Taejun, whose face was cleaner than dough's, looked at Chi-woo helplessly, and it was true, I want whatever I fear. Just for a while, otherwise I won't be able to live this life. Chi-woo sat down, very frustrated. Although the grandson has no money, it doesn't stop him from watching the fun. Don't worry, tell me what's wrong? I'll make an idea for you. His tone was gentle, his expression was calm, and he looked very trustworthy. The grandson of Qin Lianyu is basically aware of everything. Yesterday. Chi-woo told what happened yesterday. Taejun frowned, is Qin Dongshi crazy? Why is she telling people this? She doesn't want to live anymore, she wants to be dipped in a pig cage. As soon as Chi-woo heard this, he broke out in sweat again. If she soaks the pig cage, her reputation will be ruined too. Can Wen-yu forgive him? Who is provoking whom? I was filled with hatred, and my face was full of boredom, who knows? I'm probably out of my mind and crazy. It's in vain that I thought about their mother and daughter's care for me for many years and didn't care about these extraneous things, but in the end, she came to drink my dirty water. Kill her. Taejun's face looked extremely ugly. Your Highness. I'm serious. If this thing were to leak out, would that Jong Er go crazy? Wouldn't it be embarrassing for him to find you then? Your Highness. What does this have to do with me? Chi-woo was anxious. How not? Those things happened before I met him. After they got engaged, I never had contact with her again. Chi-woo thought about it again, but, we had met him once in Tianlong Temple. Not her yet? Let people come and look for it? It's really annoying to me. Taejun didn't know what he was thinking, but he analyzed it. I told you at that time that it would be fine if the marriage failed, but the matter must be settled. It must be settled cleanly, but you didn't listen. He did say that. Chi-woo regretted so much that he wanted to hit himself a few times. Who would have thought that this crazy woman would be so inexplicable? Now, Qin Lianyu is like the bright moon in the sky and always needs someone to protect her. In Chi-woo's heart, it has become an old lantern that is almost burning out on the flower boat on the Qinhua River. but when you became his root and his family. He is only afraid of harm and lost treasures. Now that I think about it, I'm really sorry for Au. I didn't tell her about this before, and I didn't give her any money after we got married. It's right for her to be upset. I can understand why she won't let me sleep with her. Poor Chi-woo has made matters worse. What? She won't let you go to bed? This woman, Taejun jumped up excitedly. She dares? You coward, she dares to do this to you, and you don't deal with her? Do you know that you are her husband? It's her god. The grandson was heartbroken. You are Chi Wuxian, married her. He walked back and forth like a trapped animal, gesticulating, that's the smoke coming out of the Wen family's ancestral tomb. Where to count? Isn't she trying to impress you? He was angry and his chest hurt. Look, what am I talking about? She was satisfied when she was able to marry you at the beginning. But after she married you, she asked for money and things. There will never be a time when she is satisfied. The money the Chi family gave you, does she have the silver? Chi Wu nodded numbly. Isn't this the end? Your mother gave the shop to her before she even entered the door. What else does she want? What do you care about her? I tell you, you can't give her anything. You can't let her just lead her by the nose. Otherwise, you will have to listen to her in the future. She won't let you take a concubine, and won't let you. Taejun didn't think about anything else. I never thought about taking a concubine. Now, I just want to get the money back first and appease her at least. You don't know. He blushed. Taejun looked at him warily. What's wrong with her? No, Chi Wu denied. Really, you can't lie to me. Taejun didn't believe it. Your Highness, how dare I lie to you, Chi Wu said helplessly. Taejun squinted his eyes and thought for a while. Hey, Xiao Wu, something is wrong. Isn't it Wen Yu who is deceiving you? If Qin Dongxi wasn't really crazy, he wouldn't have put these things into his mind. Tell others. If she had told it, it would have caused a big stir in the capital. How could she only hear about it now? She must be lying to you. But Your Highness, I really want to be engaged to Qin Dongxi, and I gave him money, but I don't want it back. When the Qin family's mother and daughter arrived in the capital, my mother ignored them and simply broke up. When you didn't even know she was there. This family member. Why did you talk about this when you came back from a banquet? Who else could it be if it wasn't Qin Lianyu? I think, this matter was caused by Qin Lianyu. But when you must have found out about this news from elsewhere. By the way, didn't you give her the private account? It can be seen from the private account of. Chi Wu shook his head. I asked Zhang Cai later, and he said that he didn't name anyone in the account. He was afraid that others would see the account book, so he only used a special mark. If he didn't ask, it would be impossible to tell Qin Lian you contacted them. She didn't ask them either. What's going on? This gentle speech is really amazing, Taejun couldn't understand. Let's not talk about this anymore. I was thinking, didn't she say I didn't give her any money? Then if I give her some, she'll be fine. Your Highness, please borrow some. In fact, Chi Wu gave his grandson a lot of money. When I came back from the south last time, I gave a lot of gifts. As a result, Taejun shook his head. I have no money. How could it be possible? Just a little bit will do. You still don't know what I am like. Money comes in and goes out, the same thing you gave me, it's not even enough. He has to do things, investigate things, support people, and win over people. Ever since he started working, he has been poor and poorer, always short of money. The mother-in-law is in charge of her father's treasury and income. Before the concubine went into the front study to do things, she only had one son, so she was extremely generous with her money, no matter how it was used. However, since she entered the study and started working, To myself, every day is getting worse. Even if she wants money, it's not like she won't give it to her, but she must explain what it's for. He even wanted to find someone to keep an eye on him. Not only that, she was even thinking about what she had in her hands. It's true, rights are beyond recognition. Looking at this poor master, Chi-Wu finally felt that he was ill and had to seek medical treatment. His grandson was indeed poor. Two people are worried and making calculations. In the end, Taejun slapped his thigh. Last time, I used the gold and silver things you gave me, and there are also some calligraphy, painting, and jewelry. They should be useless. If not, you can take them back for emergency help. Two people ran to the side and opened the cabinet. There are a few scattered items inside. Chi-Wu was not polite and took it away. Back home, I looked at these things and found that the total amount was only a few thousand taels, enough for a wealthy family to live for 2 lifetimes. But for him, why am I so poor? The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 278. Chapter 278 We are close friends. Chi-Wu was messing around, but when you didn't think about it anymore. After finishing washing and dressing up, I took the car to the store. Master Ching was a little surprised when he saw her. You haven't had a good rest? You don't look well. Having been together for so long, Master Ching is not only Wen Yu's right-hand man, but more like an aunt, a close relative from the heart. So he sighed, Master Ching, are you going to have so much trouble after getting married? Master Ching joked, you asked the right person. Wen Yu laughed when he heard this and held Master Ching's arm. Master Ching. Okay. You have a good husband and a good mother-in-law. No one else can envy you. Wen Yu nodded, my good mother-in-law is true. Master Ching smiled secretly, he is gentle and considerate, and strives for perfection in his work. But Mr. Chi-Wu was a little puzzled. It's normal to have some friction after marriage. You and Mr. Chi-Wu just have slightly different personalities, but they are both smart and kind-hearted people. Just don't think he is stupid or bully him, all right? How could I? You don't know. But you can't catch anyone telling anyone these things. When you stopped? Master Ching sighed, just like my sister-in-law. On weekdays, she is always angry and noisy because of her eldest brother's confidant. She often ignores him for 10 days and a half. But when disaster strikes, my sister-in-law also thinks, a life and death bond is broad, and she and her son become friends. Say, be thorough. Over the years, I have also been thinking, if my sister-in-law had known what the outcome would be, she would have understood that no one is perfect and would have forgiven my elder brother. At least, those unhappy interactions will no longer waste a lot of good time. When you pouted and snorted. Why don't you say that your eldest brother's conscience has discovered that no matter how many beauties there are, in the end only his wife will follow him, and he repented? It makes sense. Master Ching thought again and smiled bitterly, but I still think that of the two of them, it is easier for the elder sister-in-law to change. Yes. Colorful purples and reds, wild geese, birds, and butterflies, how wonderful. How could I not give up? When you cursed in his heart, men are all idiots. After Master Ching heard this, his mind flickered for a moment. Something seemed to happen. Where is Wen Shizu? When you asked. I didn't catch it. Master Ching came back to his senses. She's busy over there. In my opinion, she needs to hurry up and take care of her disciples. Master Wen, I think that means, when Zuzu moves into Wen's house, she will be raised as a lady. Then make some snacks. It can only be done to honor the elders and give it a try among friends, but not to sell it to anyone else. When you listened and nodded, we build a shop. One is to make ourselves not dependent on others. The other is also a hobby. But in the end, it is for our own good. Zuzu has a father who loves and protects her, and has a good marriage. Life it's perfect. It's just a matter of how much money you make. Master Ching said, but I see, Zuzu likes to come here and is bored at home all day long. She doesn't want to, and her marriage, looking at that who, has this meaning. Keep a close eye on her. This guy is not good. I don't like it. Do you know what happened to him before? I've heard about the Hu family. I've also heard Zuzu recite a few words about this man. When you told Master Ching about Yang Rishi, Master Ching was very moved and sighed. Look, he is so old. Not only has he married a wife, but he still lives and works with others. How rude. So, I think Mr. Wen doesn't like to see him. What do you think? Master Ching said, I just said that no one is perfect. In fact, judging from Zuzu's situation, this Mr. Hu is an excellent candidate. Ah, you think so, when you was stunned. The Hu family is somewhat similar to the Bai family, so the ancestors of the two families compete with each other for reputation. Whatever rare things come out of the Bai family, the Hu family will also come up with the same thing, but these are not a joke, they are really the result of the hard work of many people in the family. Now it seems that the Bai family is too unorganized. My eldest brother has little contact with the imperial court, he is reckless, and he loves to show his aristocracy. So, I was left alone after something happened. The Hu family seems to be much stronger than the Bai family in this regard. Therefore, life will be prosperous and worry-free. Another one, the head of the Hu family is not restricted. Not to mention that he has no father or mother. Even if he does, his parents must listen to his words. Therefore, as his wife, she is not bound by secular rules. No one dares to control or be picky. For Zuzu's temperament, it is still necessary. Forget about others, try putting Zuzu in Chi's house. There are so many people we know who like Zuzu, but how much better can they live if they let her become their daughter-in-law? Hearing he was discouraged. When the time comes, no matter how much Mr. Wen favors her or you help her, she is not such a person, and what you can do is limited. When you suddenly thought of Yang Xiangdong's wife. No matter how capable her sister was and how powerful her backer was, she would promote her husband. She can't do it herself. When she meets Yang Xiangdong, a wolf in the mountains, her fate will be calculated sooner or later. Master Ching, you said so, but I'm worried about Mr. Hu, who will he like to co-write with? Master Ching smiled and said, silly girl, Zuzu is just good looking. Who doesn't like good looking ones? She married and Zuzu has a father and you. How can he be wronged? It's not like he can give her any grievance, but he's too clingy, isn't he? For a grown man. Although she likes Jiwoo, no. Who likes that silly guy? But if he followed without missing a beat all day long, when you shuddered. You will know when you go over and take a look. Master Ching was even more happy. When you quietly went to the kitchen without letting anyone who saw her make a sound. At this time, the store hadn't opened yet, the kitchen was busy, and there were only 2 people cleaning in the lobby. Before I even got to the dim sum operation room, I heard Yan Zhu's voice, talking and laughing, ringing like a silver bell. When you looked in from the small window, beside Yan Zhu, stood Hu Fei. They were probably discussing the newly made snacks. Yan Zhu took a piece in one hand and handed it to him to taste. It seems to be asking him which one is better. Is the one on the left hand good? He nodded. Is the one on the right hand good? He nodded. Yan Zhu quit, so he had to choose one. Hu Fei said, both the 2 snacks taste so wonderful, I don't know what to choose for a moment. Why not, make some of both? Yan Zhu thought about it and nodded and said, you have a good idea. When you shook his head helplessly, it's so boring. Suddenly, Labo behind her was pulling her. Turning around, she saw an old man bowing solemnly to her. didn't speak. Wen Yu guessed that this might be one of Mr. Hu's men, so he nodded to him. The old man glanced at the small room and stretched out his hand to make a greeting gesture. This meant he had something to say to Wen Yu. Wen Yu followed him out and arrived at the inn. There were many people in the inn, and a giant jade sculpture was being placed. Song Shang was worried and watched from the side. "Cousin, when will it open?" Wen Yu said with a smile. "In 3 more days, by then, my cousin will wrap a big red envelope," Song Shang smiled. The old man saluted Song Shang very politely, "Uncle Song." "Mr. Shi," Song Shang also responded politely. The Hu family can be regarded as his long-term major customer, which is really good. "I have a few words to say to Mrsg Wu." "Sir, please feel free to do so." Wen Yu took Laba and followed Mr. Shi into the first floor where Mr. Hu worked. The room was large and neatly filled with things. Mr. Shi stood up, faced Wen Yu, and gave a deep and solemn salute. "Old man Shi Pan, thank you very much, Mrsg Wu, for rescuing the head of the family. Such a great kindness will never be forgotten. As long as I am useful, I will go through fire and water, wherever I am. Don't say goodbye." He gave a gentle bow and said, "Actually, he didn't do anything. Mr. Hu is a lucky man and it's only a matter of time before he wakes up." "Madam, I don't know." Mr. Shi shook his head and smiled bitterly. "Madam, please sit down. The head of the family is a rare treasure sent from heaven, and he is also the source of worry for everyone in the Hu family." Mr. Shi sighed. He was getting older and still worried. "I don't know if Mr. Shi is looking for me. What do you want to say?" "Oh. This is because I want to express my gratitude to Mrsg Wu. I didn't come to the door to express my gratitude in a big way because I was worried about the inconvenience to all parties. I invite you to come because I want to express this. This." He took out an envelope and said, "Here is a note from the Hu family's silver house, 200,000 taels. Madam can withdraw it at will, or change it in the way she likes. In addition, the Hu family also promised Madam one thing, within their ability, will handle it for Madam." Wen Yu was overjoyed, but there was a bit of surprise on her face. "It doesn't have to be like this, sir. We really didn't do much with Mr. Hu. Madam is so humble. Saving him from danger also restored his sanity and peace of mind. This is not easy." Mr. Shi's eyes were red. "Madam, if it is not convenient for you to take it now, you can go back and discuss it. I have promised on behalf of the Hu family, and I will definitely do it. In addition, there is one more thing." "Sir, please speak." "Although this matter is a bit difficult to discuss, but now there is no other way, I hope that my wife will agree and assist. My husband will marry Miss Wen." When you woke up from the joy of receiving so much silver. She shook her head. "First of all, Miss Wen has a father. Her marriage must be decided by her father. Secondly, as far as I can see, the two of them are not compatible in terms of age, family background, and personality. You know, although Miss Wen is dim sum, she is good at making side dishes, but she is not a qualified housewife. When the time comes, it will be hard for both of us." Mr. Shi said, "You don't have to worry about this. I heard that Mrsg Wu attended the Tianlong Temple Dharma Assembly. I wonder if she has met the former Mrs. Hu. When Mr. Hu wanted to marry her, the whole family did not agree. But if you get married, no one will say no. Even if Mr. He lives a miserable life, we would just feel sorry for him but not blame him. Miss Wen saved him and was such a great kindness." The old man swore on behalf of the Hu family that he would be loyal to her throughout his life and would never be picky. "Don't worry, we will help her with anything. As long as she lives her life happily." This time, Wen Yu was really impressed. But why is this? Although Wen Shizu is good looking, there are countless good looking women in the world. Although she saved Mr. Hu, she only used the simplest way, With a little effort. Mr. She burst into tears. You don't know how hard it was for Mr. Who before. Mrs. Who, the superior, made him exhaust his efforts, but he didn't get the slightest happiness. Although he has no regrets, we feel heartbroken when we see him. In the past 2 days, the old man has been observing, and he has smiled more in one day than in the previous years combined. How can the old man not be moved? How could you not make up your mind to win Miss Wen for your husband? MRSG, if you ask more and understand more, I will never trick you. For Miss Wen, this is a good match. When you was really moved. What the heck, there have been relatively few new readers of this book recently, and it's all the old readers who are having fun. Looking at the reason, it seems that no one has scanned this book. I sincerely ask everyone to comment more and vote more. Don't let it sink in. Thanks. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 279. There is no solution to the problem, so I have to find my mother. Seeing him wilting in, MRSG felt distressed and didn't dare to offend him again. Why were you running away just now? Mom asked you because she was also concerned about you. In all these years, when have you ever been short of money? When you opened the store, but I didn't hear her say to take it from you. A mouthful costs tens of thousands, my mother thought. If anything happens to you, I will help you get the details. She is also worried, what if her son is young and does bad things outside? Chi-woo was stunned for a while and sighed, Mom, my son wants to tell you something. Let's finish this matter. You are not allowed to scold your son, and you are not allowed to tell when you. Otherwise, your son will really run away from home. There will be no grandchildren. MRSG almost raised her hand and slapped him. He held it back for a while, then smiled. She said softly, don't worry. In this world, the one who loves you the most is your mother. No matter when, if you can't say anything to anyone, you can always say it to your mother. Okay, everything is according to you, do as you say. She learned this from when you. If you say something you are unhappy about with a smile, it will have a better effect than frowning. Seeing his mother being so amiable, Chi-woo felt a lot more at ease, so he told Qin Lianyu. After hearing this, MRSG no longer pretended to be gentle. She raised her hand and slapped Chi-woo. You bastard, you can do this, she was angry. Chi-woo held his head and felt dizzy. You hit your son? Are you trying to coax me with what you just said? MRSG regretted it after the beating, but she refused to accept it. I'll hit you lightly. You don't even think about the consequences here. If when you knew about it, would he still be able to live with you in a down-to-earth manner? If people outside knew about it, you too, if you go out again, no one will judge you. When you is a good girl, why do you want her to endure this? Mother, son regrets it? MRSG's innermost thoughts, do you regret that you have done nothing? What do Zhang Cai and his wife do for food? Such a big thing, come here. Mother, Chi-woo jumped up, these things were all done by my sons. Don't blame them. Mother, please don't be like this, listen to me, I was also surprised when the marriage failed. When she saw Qin Lianyu, she cried, she almost fainted, I thought she couldn't help it. Furthermore, she still married into the Duke's mansion, and Zhang Er's son also heard a little bit about spending money. There are some things, you may not know that the Qin family's farmland was washed away and their life is much worse than before. They, mother and daughter, had taken good care of their son for many years, so they thought, forget it. It is not the behavior of a man to ask for something back after giving it away. Son, that's not what you said. Those silver items are for your marriage. Besides, your mother entrusted Dulu to take care of you, so it's not for nothing. Give it to her during the holidays. How many things did you get? Your tuition fees are all paid at the full rate. Even the library of the Chin Family Academy was donated by my mother. The point is, they have some purpose for being nice to you. Otherwise, how could your mother allow you to marry her? In this case, why bother with these hypocritical things? Chi Wu stopped talking. Besides, my mother doesn't feel sorry for Yinzi. It's about the difference between men and women. It's one thing for me to love her as a cousin, but for you as a cousin, you really have to be polite and innocent. Otherwise, what are you doing now? It's so difficult. Why don't you dare to confess everything to Wen Yu? Chi Wu was about to cry again. Mother, please help your son. Teach her gently, I don't want her to be angry. This can't be solved by just giving you money, right? But she quite likes silver, give her more, and when this is over, my son will find a chance to explain to her. Oh, you just want to fool and delay. Mother, is Qin Lianyu crazy? Does she want to die, so she wants to drag her son along? Chi Wu said bitterly. MRSG looked at his attitude and expressed satisfaction. Ha! She's not crazy. I heard yesterday that her mother-in-law took concubines for Zhang Er, and one of them got pregnant. She just fooled you fools in those 2 times. Man. Looking at her son's handsome face, which was both red and white, MRSG apologized. It's really useless to deal with her mother-in-law. I've said it before, she will definitely regret it. How does Zhang Erling compare with you? How can MRS Zhang compare with me? I made the wrong choice and regretted it. Huh, where are we now? Her days of hardship are still to come. Mother, if you say this, you really can't ignore her. She's not doing well and keeps harassing me, so what can I do? What do you think of those belongings? Of course my son wants to come back. Donating to charity is 100 times better than giving it to her. Feeding the dog is better than giving it to her. Chi Wu really hated him. He had never hated a person so much. You think this way, which means you are not confused yet. But, in this way, you still have to think about it. If not, I will tell Wen Yu. Mother, Chi Wu was shocked. You promised not to tell Au. Oh, I forgot. Okay, don't say it, don't say it, MRSG quickly coaxed. You have to remember, if you forget about your son, you will be in trouble. He felt that it was not strong enough. Do you still want a grandson? MRSG was angry and laughing, and I didn't say anything. But don't you know Wen Yu for most of it? If you continue to hide the truth from her, wouldn't you be deceiving her? Besides, she was kept in the dark. If she didn't handle the situation well and suffered a loss, it would be the end of the world for you. However, seeing my son get into trouble, I can't push him any further. Okay, I remember thinking of Qin Lianyu. Her face turned cold again. Xiao Wu, don't be stupid and ask Qin Lianyu for it. You can't write to her, let alone see her. Do you understand? This is no joke. Chi Wu nodded. Of course the son knows. Once I marry a wife, I can no longer see other women. Good son. Don't worry about it, I'll take a look at Qin Lianyu first. Don't you think she's really crazy? If she talks nonsense, how disgusting will it be? Mother, my grandson said just now that if it doesn't work, I'll seal her mouth. What do you think? Chi Wu's eyes became very cold. MRSG looked at her son, wondering if this was a bit too much. Don't panic, let me take a look first. This cheap girl really doesn't deserve anyone to treat her well. MRS Lee was at home, taking care of the housework, taking out the letter she received and reading it carefully. Take out the Zhao family's guest list and study it. After a while, some news came back. After a while, Her men came back. Madam, the visitor said awkwardly, I lost you. What, how can I still follow you in the capital? Mr. Yang got in the car and walked towards Nanchinj. He passed through a small alley and went around in a circle before going home. But why did he go around in such a circle? And he shouldn't go home at this time. Madam, this is not right. Could it be that he discovered you following him? That person thinks about it? It shouldn't be. It's so good, he didn't even look back. Mrs. Lee felt like she had a clear mind. It seemed that what this letter said was true. You go down first. After everyone left, she opened the letter again. The above is a simple sentence. Your brother-in-law has a sweetheart outside, named Wei Zionjiao. Nothing else was written. I don't know who Wei Zionjiao is or where he lives. In Mrs. Lee's impression, she did not know this person. In fact, it is quite normal, the Wei family is not well known in the capital, and Wei Zionjiao also calls herself Mrs. Song when socializing in the capital. There are also many legends about her dressing style. But Mrs. Lee definitely doesn't care about this, so I really don't know her. This kind of thing, don't alert the snake, and don't let your sister know. Therefore, we can only investigate secretly. He asked people to follow Yang Xiangdong, but lost him. If he didn't have any evil intentions, why was he sneaking around? Okay. This white-eyed wolf. She was even more angry than her husband about this. Don't be excited, don't be excited, who could have sent the letter? Yang Xiangdong today is really not avoiding Mrs. Lee's tracking. He went to see the middleman. This time I went out and got back some materials to deliver to that person. He was very guarded against his contact with that person. Moreover, Xiang Yu is pregnant, so you have to be careful if you go to her place in the future. Time is tight and there are many things to do. His mind lost its usual calmness and became a little panicked. After bringing down the Song family, he would use the money he had and ask that person to see if he could clean up the Li family. Only when the Li family completely collapses can he live with Xiang Yu with peace of mind. The Duke's wife is beautiful but has a dark heart. Author, see the peach fish again. Chapter 280. When you read the account and spent some time with Zuzu, listening to her talking about her daddy and Guyu's silence, feeling relaxed and happy. She opened her mouth several times to ask her what she thought of Hu Fei, but in the end she didn't ask. On the way home, I suddenly felt a little heavy, as if I was a little frightened to face my husband. This is not a good thing. Just got home, the girl is waiting at the door, my mother-in-law invites me. Seeing when you come in, MRSG waved, you're back. How is the store? Everything is going well. My cousin's inn will open in 3 days. When the time comes, please come over and support us. Okay, Uncle Song's handiwork is really big. He opened such a big inn without saying a word. Yes. In the capital, you can spend any amount of money. Look, Mr. Hu obviously has a big house in the capital, but he still lives there. She sat next to MRSG. MRSG patted Wen Yu's hand and said, this is life. Zuzu saved a person casually, but he is a big shot. He wanted to recognize his godfather, but he reunited with his biological father. Everything that happens to this girl is a good thing. Yes, Wen Yu sighed as he thought of her in the previous life. Ayu, mother wants to talk to you about something. Mother, please tell me. In the morning, Xiao came to see me. Wen Yu smiled but said nothing. Ayu, do you know that Xiao Wu almost got engaged to Qin Lianyu? Wen Yu nodded slightly. MRSG sighed in her heart. Fortunately, she decided to tell the truth to her. According to the stupid son's idea, just make up the money and everything will be fine. How could it be fine? The more you hide it, the worse it gets. Oh, my sons are all stupid in their own way. Why are we already getting married and why do you still make me anxious? He was worried that you would be angry and didn't want me to tell you. However, mother thought that it was better to make things like this clear to avoid causing bigger misunderstandings in the future. Be gentle and silent. I thought those things were all over. Seeing that her mother-in-law was a little sad, Wen was a little embarrassed to say, "Mom." MRSG clapped her hand again, "I'll tell you everything that happened before." So MRSG asked under what circumstances she would send Chi-woo out to school. He also told me how he asked Julio to take care of him, how many years he had studied there, when he would come back, etc. After Xiaowu went to school for 2 years, Dulu started to talk to me about marriage. But at that time, I was not willing. So I said I was young and would wait until I was older. During this period, I knew that Dulu was interested in Xiaowu. Very good. The Qin family has an open family style, and girls can also study with men. Xiaowu met Qin Lianyu and got close. When he was 16, he told me that he did not want to take the scientific examination route. So, after the new year, I came back. It's almost the age to talk about marriage. The one at the back, I'm thinking about it. Unfortunately, there was no suitable girl among my relatives and friends at that time. And that one calmly blocked other people who were searching. We often hold gatherings at home, and among the people who come, there are always a few random ones wandering around the garden. After Xiaowu came back, he was busy outside. Even if I asked him, he wouldn't say anything. Sometimes I just leave the house without saying anything, and I don't know when I will come back. He is organized, but he is also a bit simple. I'm just afraid that I won't be able to see anyone and run into those who are out of place. People are plotting against him, how can they tell clearly at that time? In a desperate situation, the Qin family knew everything. When you smiled secretly, it must have been requested by Chi-woo, right? Snored. I took Xiaowu back to my hometown with the intention of taking care of this matter. But when I arrived, I found out that Qin Lianyu had actually made an engagement with the Zhang family. This was really a surprise to me. I was so angry. I felt it's fate that's playing tricks on you. Qin Lianyu's mother came to me and wanted to explain and restore old friendships, but I ignored her. But I'm afraid that if I just go back to the capital like this, the marriage will definitely fall into the hands of the person behind me. I was anxious to find it for Xiao locally. I looked through a lot but was not very satisfied until I met you. MRSG looked at Wenyu tenderly. Ew, it can be said that I fell in love with you at first sight. Not to mention, you are Yuan's savior. So, I took the initiative to contact the Wen family and propose marriage to your grandmother in person. Although there are twists and turns, the good news is that the sky has eyes and good things will eventually come true. Ordinarily, my luck is not too bad, and I finally got such a good daughter-in-law like you. Mother is having a good time during this time. How could Wenyu not be moved? Mother, Wenyu is more lucky to have met you. The eyes of mother-in-law and daughter-in-law were slightly moist. MRSG's face sank again. I just didn't expect that the Qin family would still have the nerve to pester after breaking the contract. When Xiaowu was studying, I was worried that he would live with someone else, so I didn't pay less. Who would have thought that the Qin family with the descendants of the great Confucian scholar were actually that way and were tricked away? Haha, she is so shameless. But when you was thinking, if Chi-woo doesn't give him a chance, she can trick him? It seems that if something goes wrong, it's not his son's fault, it's everyone else's fault. Women all over the world are the same. After I learned about the engagement between the Qin family and the Zhang family, I told Xiaowu that we are done with it from now on. If there is anything that should be destroyed, destroy it and take back what should be taken back. This is also my fault. Such a large sum of money and valuables, I didn't even know that my son wasn't coming back. He said softly but calmly, Mother, I know. You know? When did you know it? MRSG was shocked. So when you told MRSG what she had encountered at Tianlong Temple? At that time, I didn't know my husband, and I didn't see his face. Moreover, his voice was hoarse, as if he had returned from a long distance. So, when I met my husband later, I didn't recognize him. After finishing speaking, she thought, if she had recognized it at the beginning, would there have been any of the following things? If not, what kind of life will I have? I can't help but feel guilty. This marriage was planned by myself. However, during her contact with Qi Yang, she fell in love with him. That's why I feel sad and angry now. If I go by my original intention, I have actually achieved many things that I never dared to think of. Suddenly, I didn't feel so sad or angry anymore, but just a little regretful. MRSG smiled bitterly. This is true, it's a coincidence. Mother. To tell you the truth, Qin Lianyu has some tricks up her sleeve. From what I heard that day, she expressed her reluctance to marry the Zhang family and her deep attachment to her husband. She also said that she would give away the silver. Return everything. But in that situation, it is really difficult for a man like me to reach out and take things back. Humph, her mother taught her how to behave like this. I thought that after marrying into the Qin family, she would become better because of what she heard and what she saw. Mother, I wasn't the one who overheard yesterday. It was Qin Lianyu who came to me on her own initiative. She is looking for you. What is she looking for you for? She said that you are related to her mother, and that she and her husband are childhood sweethearts. The key point is also that, her husband is very good to her, making kites in spring, making fans in summer, flying fireflies in autumn, and so on in winter. After she said this, I realized that my husband was the person she met at Tianlong Temple. Bah! She is really frustrated and crazy. MRSG's face turned red with excitement. It's true that Xiao gave her some silver coins, and it's also true that he gave her some valuable items. There are also some that he brought to her sisters outside. Snacks and stuff to bring back. As for making a kite fan or something like that, it's just nonsense. Xiao has a lot of homework. In addition to taking classes with the Qin family, he also has to practice martial arts. In his spare time, he also goes out to practice riding, shooting, and playing polo. How can I have time to do that for her? This shameless bitch, next time I see her, I will tear her mouth apart. When you smiled secretly, instigating, who can't do it? Mom, she is really not right in the head. Both men are married and women are married, especially, she still managed to get a good marriage by herself, and she took money that she shouldn't have. To be honest, it was too late to hide. How could she take the initiative on her own? Isn't she afraid that I'll beat her up if she exposes the scandal? MRSG thought of that scene and laughed. She owes this. If it weren't for our shame, I would have slapped her, when you also hated her so much. When her mother was a child, she loved to play tricks and use roundabout ways to do the smallest things. As for why Qin Lianyu did this, I guess her life was not going well. Mrs. Zhang gave her husband 2 serious concubines. One of them is pregnant. He wants to give birth to her baby. When you frowned slightly, I heard that Jiang's eldest son is in poor health. Yes. The eldest son's daughter-in-law is Mrs. Jiang's niece. They are very close friends. Especially the niece, who knew that Mr. Zhang was not in good health yet decided to marry her. Mrs. Zhang felt even more sorry for her. Although he is also very kind to Zhang Er, what he really likes is the eldest son who is so anxious to take a concubine. You are saying that if a son is born in the future, he will be adopted by the eldest son. Yes. This is what Mrs. Zhang had in mind. Otherwise, could she agree to the marriage between Zhang Er and Qin Lianyu? Qin Lianyu's dream of becoming the duke's wife was in vain. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law sneered at the same time. It's just mother, Qin Lianyu has a lot of affection for her husband, but she chose the Zhang family because she was fascinated by power for a while. Judging from her words and deeds, she is quite self-righteous. I'm afraid she thinks, her husband has lost her, and she only deserves to be sad and lost in the corner. I will never forget her for the rest of my life. MRSG was a little surprised, but after thinking about it carefully, she nodded frequently. Although it's a bit far-fetched, maybe she really thinks so. But my husband turned around and got engaged to me without looking sad at all. After a polo match, my husband stole the show in the capital. My daughter-in-law, my talent and appearance are only surpassed by Qin Lianyu's. When you said with a look of disdain, he said, in addition, your love for me probably spreads a lot outside. How can she accept that her husband has forgotten her? How could you admit your failure? That's why he found me and instigated me to show off. Just intending to ruin your husband's good life. If, as you said, her dreams come to nothing in the future, how can she bear it? By then, you will definitely go crazy. Is it really like Taejun said, kill her? MRSG murmured, her expression slowly becoming firm. When you heard it, yes. After knowing Taejun for so long, he finally spoke a human word. She doesn't have to be killed, but she can't be left to go crazy. When you said coldly,